They thought she was just another black woman in jeans, standing on a sidewalk she'd swept as a girl, easy to overlook, easier to control. But when those cuffs clicked shut on her wrists and blood began to trickle down, she didn't scream, didn't beg. Colonel Naomi Brooks lifted her chained hands just as high as the metal would allow and gave the kind of salute that splits the sky open. That's the moment everything changed. I was standing in the doorway of my corner drugstore in East Valley when I saw it two officers, Briggs and Taylor, pressing Naomi against the hood of her own car like she was trash. No questions, no explanation. Just brute force. I'd known her since we were both kids skipping stones by the train tracks. She'd left for the Marines, came back carved out of steel and purpose. And now here she was being treated like nothing more than a threat because she had the audacity to exist. With confidence. Phones went up, mine included. But what really silenced the block wasn't the camera flash. It was her. Naomi stood up chin level, back straight, and delivered a salute so sharp, so clean, it made the whole damn street forget how to breathe. Briggs barked out a laugh. "What the hell is this, some kind of act?" Naomi didn't flinch. "You just handcuffed the youngest black female colonel in Pacific Command history," she said, low and even. It wasn't a flex, it was a reminder. Taylor's eyes darted to mine. I held his stare steady, showing him my phone. He knew what was happening. We all did. Briggs leaned in almost nose to nose with her. "Out here stripes don't mean a thing," he hissed. Naomi looked right through him. "Out here," she said, "the law still applies." Now you need to understand something. Naomi didn't wear her uniform that day on purpose. Not because she wasn't proud. She chose a plain blue blouse and jeans because in East Valley sometimes the uniform makes you more of a target. That morning I watched her tend to her mother Miriam, bedridden with lung trouble. Naomi brought oatmeal, checked her meds, kissed her forehead. That woman moved with grace. Even her silence had weight. And just before she left, Miriam gripped her hand and said, "Don't let them take your dignity. That's all we got left in this world." Naomi didn't promise. She just nodded. Because the promise was already alive in the way she carried herself. I saw her pull into the pharmacy lot. Two patrol cars slid in behind her like shadows. Briggs and Taylor, they trailed her like she was prey. And when she came out with a small paper bag of medicine, just a routine refill, they pounced. "Ma'am, we got a report of a robbery. You and your vehicle match the description." She didn't raise her voice. "License and registration are in the glove box. I'll answer reasonable questions." Briggs smirked. "We're going to need to search your car." "No," she said, "not without a warrant or probable cause." That's when he called her uncooperative. That's when the cuffs came out. I shouted, "Her name is Colonel Naomi Brooks." Briggs didn't blink. "Names don't change facts." "They do when you use the right ones," I shot back. They dragged her toward the cruiser. Her wrists were already bleeding. Still, she stood tall and saluted. That salute didn't just stop traffic, it cracked something deeper. An old man watering in his garden took off his cap. A teenager froze mid-step and held his phone higher. A bus shut off across the street. You could feel the shift. Then Briggs made a decision. Instead of heading to the precinct, they turned off the main road. I followed quiet, a few cars back. I knew what was happening. I called 911, gave them the unit number. "They're not heading to the station," I said. "They're trying to make her disappear." They pulled into an abandoned loading lot behind an old meatpacking plant. No cameras, no traffic, just heat rippling off the asphalt. Inside that cruiser, Naomi sat in the back seat, breathing slow, cuffs in her lap, like a weight she'd already accepted, but not surrendered to. When they yanked her out, there was a bag in her trunk, her Marine duffel. Standard issue. Inside, a licensed sidearm and a sealed envelope. I knew what it was she'd told me days ago. A USB drive with files about military contract fraud. Dangerous names, real proof. She hadn't submitted it yet because she wasn't sure who to trust. She said, "If something happens to me, give this to someone who can't be bought." Briggs held the drive up like it was a bomb. "What do we got here, huh?" "Classified material." "Hidden weapon?" "Looks like we found ourselves a traitor." "That's a lie," I yelled. He ignored me, yelled back at the camera phones now lining the sidewalk. "You're looking at a threat to national security." But Naomi didn't bite. She didn't shout. She just stood there, bleeding, calm, letting his noise hang in the air like trash smoke. And then, help came. Chief Ramirez, someone who once served under Naomi in a joint relief mission, stormed into the station 10 minutes later. Didn't raise his voice, just said, "Everyone freeze." He looked at the cuffs on her wrists, at the chain clinking low, at the blood drying against her skin. "Unlock her. Now." Briggs didn't move. "She's under arrest. Possession of unregistered." No, Ramirez cut him off. "She's under protection, and you're under investigation." He turned to Naomi. "Colonel Brooks, do you require medical attention?" She didn't speak. She just did what none of us expected. With those cuffs still biting, she raised her chained hands again and gave Ramirez a full military salute. The room stopped. Even the printer quit humming. And through the glass wall of the precinct, we saw it, the veterans, the neighbors, kids with phones, all lined up outside saluting back. A woman who'd been invisible for too long, now commanding the respect she earned in silence. The chief turned. "Officers Briggs and Taylor, you're relieved of duty, effective immediately." You could hear the click of cuffs again, but this time not on her. And that lobby outside, it erupted. Cheers, applause, people crying, people filming, a whole community saying, "We saw everything." Naomi didn't smile, didn't cry. She stood in the middle of it all like a storm that refused to bend. Months later, she came back, not in chains, not in silence, but in a blazer, standing at city council. She launched a program called Justice Shield Veterans, working with neighborhoods to monitor police behavior and protect citizens' rights. She ended her speech with just 4 words: "Dignity is not negotiable." The whole room stood. That salute she gave in chains. It didn't just free her, it woke us up. So now I'll ask you, watching this from your home, your break room, maybe your own quiet battle, have you ever seen dignity silenced or watched someone rise up when they were supposed to bow? Let us know in the comments. Was Naomi right to stand her ground? Should every neighborhood have its own justice shield? What would you have done if you were there that day? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story if it moved you. Because somewhere out there, someone is still being cuffed in silence. And maybe your voice is the one that breaks the chain. They thought she was just another black woman in jeans, standing on a sidewalk she'd swept as a girl, easy to overlook, easier to control. But when those cuffs clicked shut on her wrists and blood began to trickle down, she didn't scream, didn't beg. Colonel Naomi Brooks lifted her chained hands just as high as the metal would allow and gave the kind of salute that splits the sky open. That's the moment everything changed. I was standing in the doorway of my corner drugstore in East Valley when I saw 2 officers, Briggs and Taylor, pressing Naomi against the hood of her own car like she was trash. No questions, no explanation. Just brute force. I'd known her since